Alright, the answer to the what is it video. The answers, well, several folks said that it's a punch. And then one person said no, it's basically it's a die for punching holes through steel, and said look at this video, and I'll show you part of it right now.
This is the punching section of an ironworker. It provides a fast, efficient way of creating holes in metal. Punches and matching dies come in various sizes and shapes. The stripper plate is used to strip or remove the material from the punch during the upstroke. With the stripper now in the closed position and the foot switch controlling the punch.
So it looks like it's a die for punching holes. Now the other one, this one, I think if it came from the shop, which I did not take, it would have been my dad's stuff. Looks to me like a cam that would go on one of the Hertline drill fluting machines. Sometimes the guys that were running the large diameter drills, I tried to stay away from the large diameter machines because they you ran soft stock in there, and talk about troubles. Blech. Anyway, if it was a big enough diameter, the machine couldn't handle it in just one pass. So you would set up these cams on a plate down underneath the machine that would index in a circle, and then the hydraulics would lift the table up. The table had a bushing that the drill would pass through and come up underneath the cutting wheel, and so then it would just make it steps up, you know, and so it would take a little bit off at a time. But that right there looks like one of them cams to me. Now, as I mentioned on the previous video, usually they're not that thick. At least all the ones I ever used. And many of them had two flats on there, probably so you could put a wrench on it and turn them and tighten them. This one, it looks like I can see some claw marks on it from vice grips or a channel lock or something. And it might be that one of the machinists made this one special for a job, and that's probably, if that's what it was, then that would explain why it doesn't look like the ones that came with the machine. And of course we had our own heat treating facility there, and I mean they could do anything you wanted to, except bake, you know, bread and donuts and things like that, cook chicken. I did fry an egg on my machine once. One of the machines I ran, the hydraulic tank on the back, it was the hydraulic unit, and it had a, well, if you just walked up to the machine, it was a big, great big box, and then under the lid was all the hydraulic stuff, the pump, the tank, the hoses, and all that. That one got hot to where it was even really super hot to the touch, just to touch the lid on it. And that's where we'd keep our V-block, and when all the drills that came out of the machine, you know, we stacked them there and whatnot. And I always commented on how hot that was. You guys, it's hot. You could fry an egg on there. Well, I caught wind that the next day manager wasn't going to be there. He's had the day off. Okay, so I brought in a raw egg, and I cracked it on top of that thing, and yes sir, it started frying. You see, we use synthetic oil inside the machines as a coolant, and that stuff was everywhere. I mean, when you went home at the end of the residue was on you. I mean, there's fine particles through the air, you can see it, but it was there. There's a high pressure spraying it out in the machine, and you know, when you got a high pressure oil spraying and hitting other objects, it's going to make fine little particles to the point where it would collect on the ceiling and drip down. Not like steady dripping, but every now and then splat. So the oil was everywhere. And, you know, it's going to be on the lid of that thing, especially when you're taking drills out of the machine and putting them in a V-block to stack them and count them. So it fried really nice in that oil on that machine, and then it oozed down in the cracks and went inside. I was like, whoopsie. So I cleaned it up, and we got a kick out of that. I don't know, a week or two later, I put a work order in. It was just too hot. I asked one of the maintenance guys, there's something that you could do about that? And he rattled off something. I don't know, I'm not a mechanic or for machines or anything like that. So he took the lid off. I looked over and he's scraping. He's like, what is that? Looks like eggs. I said, yeah, it is eggs. He looked up at me like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I fry an egg on there because it's hot, you know. I wanted to see if it would fry an egg. And he just started laughing and shook his head and finished cleaning up my mess. So I guess that's the answers. Bye.